Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Tuesday the 15th of March 2022. In today's Millwall news, we have a few stories from the leftovers of the weekend's game, and then we've got a few stories looking forward to tomorrow's game on Wednesday, and then we're going to preview and do some predictions for Wednesday's game against Huddersfield at home. So let's just jump into it now. This is from londonnewsonline.co.uk, and it's Rowett talking about Jed Wallace. So it wasn't meant maliciously. Millwall boss gives his take on glasses gesture to official by Jed Wallace. Mill manager Gary Rowett felt Jed Wallace could have escaped any punishment for his spectacles gesture in Saturday's 0-0 draw with Middlesbrough. The Lions winger reacted that way after the assistant referee twice failed to make the right call in the first half, incorrectly awarding the Teessiders a throw-in and a corner in quick succession. Referee Robert Jones booked Wallace. "I'm sure by the letter of the law it's the right thing to do," said Rowett. The Lions had made a mistake early on when he missed an obvious ball out of play. Then he made another mistake. Jed turned around, and to me it was a bit of banter and fun. It wasn't meant maliciously. He got booked, and then 5 minutes later, one of their lads screamed in the linesman's face, which I've got no problem with, but he didn't book him. I'm not saying that players should do that, or it's the way we want to act, but I also think a bit of common sense is just warn him, and away we go. It's where it becomes a little bit pedantic. Sometimes you want to allow players to have a little bit of personality, but it seems you can't do that anymore. So it is what it is. Jones booked 5 players, all in the opening 45 minutes, with 4 of those cautions dished out to Millwall's team. There was a late challenge on Scotty by Crooks early on. There was a little bit of a forearm smash that went unnoticed, said Rowett. But I think Chris summed it up, and I tried to as well. It was a really competitive game. Both of us enjoyed that competitive side of it. We've both been around the game long enough and worked at different levels to appreciate that sometimes it is about that competitive nature of the game rather than just the beauty of it. Probably the luckiest one was Savri's 2 trips. The kindest way to say is that he got away with it, and sometimes that happens. No manager is there to get players booked or sent off. I complain sometimes that there's a lack of consistency. If the ref books someone early on or lets them get away with a challenge like Crooks did early on, then if you book someone afterwards, there is the manager says, "Hang on a minute, you didn't do that 5 minutes ago," and that ends there. So there you go. Pardon me. So moving on now to this about Danny Ballard from news@den.co.uk. Of course, he was up against one of his Arsenal teammates on loan. He's on loan with us, and Falarin Balogun was on loan with Middlesbrough. So I don't know how well they know each other, because they don't hardly spend any time at Arsenal. So see, Ballard was at Blackpool last season, and so I don't know how it goes, but I'm sure they must know each other to some extent. Daniel Ballard says he came through the draw against Middlesbrough on Saturday with no problems, which is good, and discussed his battle with Arsenal teammate Falarin Balogun. Centre-back Ballard was expected to miss the match after going off with a groin problem at half-time in a previous game against Blackburn Rovers. Mill would have been without all of their natural right-sided centre-backs if Ballard had been unavailable. Sean Hutchinson and Ryan Laird are still out, but Ballard made a quick recovery and helped the Lions to a 4th clean sheet in a row for the first time in the league since February 2017 as the sides battled to a 0-0 draw. I was a bit touch and go, to be honest. I didn't think we'll be alright for the game. Ballard told News@den. It was probably only Friday morning when I thought I might be able to give this a go. I managed to train on Friday and then got through the game alright. Balogun John Borough on loan from the Gunners in January and had scored his first goal for them in their previous game against Sheffield United. Ballard revealed he's not opposed to having words in the ears of opponents. Yeah, especially with someone like that, he said. Paddy was part of their team as well. He's a Northern Ireland teammate. There's a little bit of chatter, especially at corners and plays and breaks in play. I was just saying to Flo to take it easy, really, not to put it through my legs and into the top corner. I've obviously trained against him for years, so it was a little bit strange playing in a real match against him. You can see his quality and how fast he is, and he's a really good player. I quite enjoyed playing against him. I thought it went well. Read a long interview with Danny Ballard in this Thursday's Southern News, where he discusses his knee injury and recovery, and how his move to the Lions is paying off, and his experience chasing the playoffs with Blackpool. Interesting. That would be worth a read there. So look out for that in tomorrow's paper, or in Thursday's Southern newspaper. If you want to find out more from Danny Ballard, pick that up and have a read of that. So moving on now to this. what has happened against Middlesbrough. Now George Evans pulled his calf muscle before the game, but he was still listed on the bench for some reason, but he was not going to be making an appearance on the pitch. He was just on the bench because they'd already put the team sheet in and couldn't be bothered to change it, and they had no one to change it for anyway. There was no other player to replace him. So Millwall midfielder to miss Huddersfield Town matches from londonnewsonline.co.uk. So Millwall midfielder George Evans is set to miss tomorrow night's home game against Huddersfield Town. The former Derby and Manchester City player was on the bench for Saturday's 0-0 draw against Middlesbrough, but complained of calf issue in the warm-up. The Lions sent Evans for a scan, which showed he had a grade 1 calf strain that's expected to keep him out until after the international break. So come 2 to 3 weeks. And centre back Sean Hutchinson out with the same injury, has suffered a setback in his rehab. Millwall manager Gary Rowett had been open to get the defender back to at least be involved by the weekend. The next closest to being back are probably Ojo, Leonard and Bradshaw, said Rowett. But again, whether or not the next 2 games will be too quick is probably likely. Evan made us aware of his problem in the warm-up, but it didn't seem that much of an issue. But at half-time he just felt it again. At that point, it makes it very difficult to put that player on the pitch because you might have to bring him off 2 minutes later. The medical team decided to scan him and he's got a grade 1 injury, so it's probably just as well he didn't come on and make it worse. So there you go, another injury, another day, another injury. Moving on now to, we're getting to the point of the season when it's not only injuries that are a problem, but suspensions and possible suspensions. So this is from news@den.co.uk. Millwall defenders ban risk against Huddersfield with striker already unavailable at Stoke City. Jake Cooper needs to avoid a booking against Huddersfield Town at the Den on Wednesday to escape a 2-game suspension. Cooper has picked up 9 bookings in the league this season so far, including 1 in each of the last 3 games, ahead of the next cut-off point, which is 37 matches, which is against Huddersfield Town. So he needs to get through that match without getting booked, or if he gets booked against Huddersfield, he's going to be missing at least 2 games. And if Cooper does pick up another yellow card, he will miss the trip to Stoke City on Saturday, along with Benik Afobe, who is on loan from Stoke City and cannot play against them. Lions boss Gary Rowett thinks it's doubtful he will have any of his current injured players back available against Huddersfield. Ryan Leonard and Shea Ojo are the closest to returning. We've got a few possibilities that might be able to edge onto the bench, but at the moment that's very unlikely, Rowett said. Benik won't be available for the Stoke game, and if Coop picks up one more booking, he'll be unavailable as well. We're conscious of where we are, we're conscious of what bodies we need, so we're certainly trying as hard as we can to get players back from injury. The sports science and medical teams have been working incredibly hard to see if they can get those players back and available. So there you go. Now we're going to move on to this. So this is from londonnewsonline.co.uk. Mill boss hoping Tyler Bury has extra spark after sitting out Borough match. Mill manager Gary Rowett is hoping that Tyler Bury will use any disappointment and not featuring Saturday's 0-0 draw with Middlesbrough as extra motivation next time he takes to the field. Well, when will that be? Was that going to be against Huddersfield? I think the way Huddersfield play, they're probably going to be a bit more attacking than Middlesbrough. So there's probably going to be a bit more room up front at the other end. So this could be a decent game for Tyler Bury to start against Huddersfield Town. The attacker was taken off in last week's stalemate at Blackburn Rovers in the 57th minute as he struggled to impact the game. Bury was an unused substitute against Borough at the weekend. Rowett said sometimes part of being a young player is learning how to affect different types of games in different ways. Only experience can do that. If that doesn't happen in 2 games, it doesn't mean you can't do that. It means you have to learn from those experiences and then put them back into practice when you get the opportunity. One thing is for sure, Tyler will get his opportunity again, and when he does, I think there will be a real determination to go again. Sometimes we have senior strikers who we feel will be more suited to the game. Sometimes we've got the likes of Tyler, who we think has done well, and he gets his next opportunity to go again. When that will come, he's just got to be ready, but he's worked hard in training since. Hopefully he'll be a little bit disappointed not to come on in that last game, and regardless of whether he starts or comes on the pitch, he'll have that little bit of extra spark to be ready to go. That's the test for any young player. Well, Benik Afobe isn't playing that well at the moment, is he? we were scoring more goals when he was out of the team, sad to say. Since he's come back, it's been 0-0-0-0. So, and against Reading, he played against Reading, and we had to rely on Jake Cooper getting us a goal from that. So we will see. We will see. Now, obviously, Benicophobe cannot play at the weekend against Stoke. So does that mean he has to play against Huddersfield? Probably. And we'll see what he does, because it's going to be coming up to 4 games now. This is the 4th game if he plays tonight, tomorrow night against Huddersfield. 4 games in a row. You would expect him to do something in at least 1 in 4 games. So we need to see something from Benicophobe tomorrow night against Huddersfield. And speaking of that, here we go. This is the historical record of matches between Millwall and Huddersfield Town. And as you can see, so we didn't play them that many times because they were a big team back in the day, a big team. So we played them twice in 1920s in the FA Cup because we were in different leagues until 1967 when we made it up to Division 2 and they made it down to Division 2. And very first league game at the Den, we actually lost against them. Lost 3-1 in 1967, and since then we've done all right. There was another defeat in 1982, 3-1, but that was after 5 games without defeat. And then in the 1980s to 2006, we've got 4 wins and then 2 draws, 2 0-0 draws, and then again into 2007 we lose again. So it's a game that we're winning more often than not. Until recently, of course, Huddersfield Town had a few seasons up in the big time. They made their money. They built a new stadium, and they had a decent team. And the last, you can see 3 of the last 4 games they've beaten us. One of them we actually won 4-1. That was in July 2020. So again, it's kind of weird seeing a league game where it says July, but that was the COVID season extended. But yeah, it's a game that we win more often than not, and it's a game that we win quite big more often than not. A lot of 4s there. 4-0 in 1986, 4-1 in 1988, 4-0 in 2012, 4-1 in 2020. So are we going to be seeing that again? Now the weather is supposed to be absolutely dogs, which might be good for us, because if the pitch is too hard, it might soften up a little bit, and that might be good for us. Again, so if we're scrolling down all the times that Millwall have played Huddersfield Town at the Den, I'm only seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defeats in about 20 or so games. So that's a game we're winning more often than not. Although recently the tide has kind of turned, because they've been taking that Premier League money and doing something with it. And especially last time out, we lost 3-0. Not the best of results. So which way are we going to go tomorrow night? Who knows? So let's have a look now at more recent history. Here we go. So home versus away. Aha! Last 6 games of Millwall versus Huddersfield, 2 of them have seen Huddersfield red cards. Not only that, but so it's no draws either. No draws. 3 wins for Millwall, 3 wins for Huddersfield. No draws. 2 red cards for them. 1 in 2012 and 1 in 2015. Interesting. Okay. A few clean sheets there actually. So the when a team's won it, they've had a clean sheet except for twice, if that makes any sense. So you can see last time Huddersfield won 3-0, and then they won 1-0 2013, then we won 4-0 2012, we won 2-0 in 2010. 2 occasions where the winning team conceded a goal. And that was us in 2020, 4-1 win, and then in 2015, 3-1 win. So team generally keeps a clean sheet, they win. And match facts, Millwall have seen over 2.5 goals in the last 3 home matches against Huddersfield in all competitions. So a lot of goals today. A lot of goals tomorrow night, maybe. So let's scroll down. So here's the table. Huddersfield are third in the table. We are 11th. 17 wins for them, 14 for us. Both from the same amount of draws, 12 and 12. They've lost 8, we've lost 10. We have a better defence than them. 34 goals conceded to their 38. They have played one more game. They've scored 51 to our 37. We're barely making 1 goal a game scoring, which is not good. So let's have a look at the form table. So here's the current form table. We are the 2 best teams in the league right at the moment. That's as good as it gets, but you can see they've scored 11 in the last 6. We've scored 6 in the last 6, but we've only conceded once. So here's the thing: we've had 2 0-0 draws in a row now. Is Gary going to try and go for 3 0-0 draws in a row? I think if he does, I think that's going to be a big mistake. I think we need to. This is a home game now. We need to start doing a bit of attacking, especially in a night game with the shit weather that's going to be there. If that's counter-attacking, whatever, we need to do some attacking. If he tries to play for another 0-0 draw, I think we're going to get absolutely hammered. So please don't do that. Let's look at the standings in terms of home. So we're 10th in the home table. Where are Huddersfield though? Huddersfield are 3rd away from home. They're a good away team. They are a good away team. They've only lost 5 times away from home. They have 19 games. Whereas we're only 10th in the home form table. So there you go. Scrolling down. So let's have a look at that away form for Huddersfield. So they've kept 2 clean sheets away from home in the last 6 games against Birmingham and against Preston. They have conceded 2 against West Brom in the last game and against Nottingham Forest, but that was in the FA Cup. And they conceded 3 away at Reading. Okay. So they are kind of all over the place. They did beat Fulham 2-1 away at Craven Cottage though, so like I said, they know how to score, they know how to attack, but they can be vulnerable because they do attack. So whereas you look at Millwall have kept 5 clean sheets in the last 6 matches at home, only conceded 1 goal against Cardiff City. Interesting. We failed to score in our last game against Middlesbrough and failed to score against Preston, but we have scored 2 against West Brom, 2 against Cardiff, 2 against QPR. So I think we are going to need to score at least 1 goal. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet against Huddersfield today. It's possible, but I don't think so. Here's the strengths and weaknesses. So you can see Huddersfield's strengths are mostly attacking, and their weaknesses are defensive. We should be trying to attack them a little bit more than we did against Middlesbrough. Mill will dominate in the air, very likely. Okay, so let's move on now to this. This is from WhoScored.com as well. They've got the big list of injuries, of course. Prediction. Mill ground out back-to-back goalless draws in their past 2 league games, following up their solid defensive display against Blackburn with another against fellow playoff hopefuls Middlesbrough. Gary Rowett's men are unbeaten in 7 league games, but need to start turning draws into wins if they are to make up the ground to the top 6. Huddersfield were cruising towards 3 points on Friday night, following a Danny Ward brace, but the Terriers capitulated late on, conceded twice in the space of a minute, and West Brom rescued a point. The Yorkshire side have dropped down to 3rd place, but are now unbeaten in 17 league games. Whoa, they haven't lost in 17 games. And we haven't lost in, what is it, like 7 now? I'm getting a feeling that someone's going to have to lose today, tomorrow. So prediction, Millwall 1, Huddersfield 1. So they think both teams' unbeaten runs are going to carry on. I can't see it, to be honest. I can't see it. Let's have a look and see what David Pratton predicts. This is from SkySports.com. Now, reminder, this game is going to be shown on Sky Sports Football. It is live on Sky Sports Football. I believe it's not on iFollow TV. I believe the club took it off of iFollow so they could show you the Blackburn game. So aren't you lucky? Because I think because we had a postponement, they needed to. You can't just add extra games willy nilly. So I think they took the Huddersfield game off of iFollow and used that spot for the Blackburn game. So I think you have to watch this on Sky Sports Football if you want to watch it tomorrow night. So here we go. What does he say? Millwall are still unbeaten, but back-to-back goalless draws suggest they may just not quite have enough goals to sustain a charge towards the playoffs. Huddersfield will have been frustrated with how they were pegged back by West Brom. They are still looking at Bournemouth, but that is out of their control. They just have to keep picking up points to maintain where they are, and I think they'll nick this one. And Prime predicts Millwall 0, Huddersfield 1. Yeah, well, like I said, I think this is a game that we could probably easily lose if we don't attack, and it's very much depends who's playing up front and how they play. Benicophobe's come back into the side. He hasn't done much. If he starts today, he needs to prove himself. He needs to produce. He needs to come up with the goods. We can't have another bad game from Benicophobe. Having said that, I don't know. It very much depends on the team, because we could have a few more injuries. There was talk about we only have 2 centre backs in the team now, Mitchell and Saville. If any of them get injured or have to come off, we're gonna have to play players out of position. So what I'm going to predict, I'm gonna predict that this is a step too far. I feel like I'm being a bit negative, but I'm just trying to be a bit realistic. We've done well to get where we are, but you can see it's starting to strain a bit. The 2 0-0s that we've had, we didn't have a shot on Blackburn. You can't really be doing that and expect to get in the playoffs, you know. Like, there are teams in the playoffs right now that can have shots on goal. They don't go through games without having a shot on goal. You could say, well, circumstances, it is what it is, but you need to be playing better than we're playing, and it's gonna have to end sometime. Like 7 games unbeaten, it's gonna end sometime. It's gotta end, and this is probably, we're going up a game against a team that's had 17 games unbeaten, and the website I just showed you here, they're pushing it. They think it's gonna be a draw, so both teams are gonna carry on unbeaten. Nah, I think it's gonna be Millwall 0, Huddersfield 3. I think we're gonna get schooled by a team that knows how to attack, and yeah, sadly I think it's gonna be Millwall 0, Huddersfield 3. And on that note, thank you for watching. Goodbye.